You'd think maths is maths, right? 2 plus 2 equals 4, no matter what culture you're from. Well, Indigenous mathematics is apparently completely different to our Western style of maths. And of course, perhaps unsurprisingly to many of you, Western maths is a result of evil colonisation, didn't you know? For example, in this article by Australian National University Professor Rowena Ball, titled Mathematics Without Borders, she and Hongjung Xu created a special topics course of the same name, which includes things such as Indigenous and First Nations mathematical knowledges, truth-telling in mathematics history, and my personal favourite, decolonisation of mathematics. As seen on this news article on the ANU website, Ball brings Indigenous mathematics to ANU. I find it interesting that a non-Indigenous lady is bringing Indigenous maths to the uni. Wouldn't that be similar to, food has no borders, Professor Ball brings Pakistani food to ANU? Of course, I'm joking. She'd probably bring kangaroo tail stew. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, Indigenous maths. She said in the article, mathematics has been gate-kept by the West and defined to exclude entire cultures. Almost all mathematics that students have ever come across is European-based. Indigenous and First Nations peoples around the world are standing up and saying, our knowledge is just as good as anybody else's. Why can't we teach it to our children in our schools and in our own way? One effect of colonisation of the curriculum is defensive protection of what is thought to be an exclusively European and British provenance of mathematics. But in many Indigenous societies, mathematics is lived from when you are born to when you rejoin your ancestors. She goes on to state that Indigenous societies often excel at non-numerical mathematics, such as systematized and intergenerational chiral signalling technology. Can you guess what that is? Smoke signalling. She gives the example of pulsing the smoke waves with a left-to-right curl to signal white men, instead of the more usual right-to-left spiral. Yes, even smoke can be racialised. Look, I'm not saying that smoke signalling isn't somewhat cool, but is it maths? And does it have any use in the modern world? I don't know, I'm just asking. So why are we talking about Indigenous maths? Why is this even being brought up? Well, it's because Indigenous people are falling behind when it comes to maths. Unacceptable Indigenous maths achievement gap under scrutiny. Basically, the achievement gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous students continues to widen. If you look at the Australian Government's ACARA website, they report on the National Assessment Program, NAPLAN results, which take into account indigeneity. These are the average achievement scores for Year 9 in numeracy for 2023. You can see that the average score is 567, with boys doing slightly better than girls. However, Indigenous students are scoring significantly worse than their non-Indigenous peers at 491 versus 573, a more than 80-point difference. Surprisingly, or not, the best performers are those that have a language background other than English. So if you can't speak English, you'll do well at maths. If you're Aboriginal, well, for whatever reason, on average, you're doing quite poorly. Surely there's a societal issue at play here. It's certainly not from a lack of capability. Well, it didn't take me long to find the answer. This is the government's My School website, where you can search for individual schools and their overall performance, etc. If we take a look at a school in a low socioeconomic area, Woodridge State High School in Logan, for example, we can see that most students are in the bottom quarter of Socio-Educational Advantage. Most students, 69%, are from a non-English speaking background, while 8% of students identify as Indigenous. But what's most telling is the attendance levels. Only 17% of Indigenous students attend 90% or more of the time, noting that only 54% of non-Indigenous students attend 90% of the time, so that's not particularly good either, but it certainly beats 17%. If we look at a school in an above-average socio-economic area, say Kedron State High School, with most students coming from families in the middle and top quarter of socio-educational advantage, there are 3% of students who identify as Indigenous. Again, if we look at attendance levels, although better, Indigenous student attendance is still significantly lower than their non-Indigenous peers, 43% versus 61%. Clearly, one's ability at maths probably has more to do with how often you attend school than lack of capability. And just out of interest, let's take a look at a rich school, say Brisbane Girls Grammar, where most people fit into the top quarter. When it comes to Indigenous students, there are none, 0%, so I cannot show you any statistics. Just before we finish, let's take a look at a real-life example of Aboriginal mathematics at play. This is my favourite Aboriginal Australian, writer Bruce Pascoe. He lives on a farm in Victoria where he grows and harvests traditional Aboriginal food. Apparently, Aboriginal people have been growing and harvesting their own grains for the last 65,000 years, according to SBS. Mr. Pascoe claims, Aboriginal people were the first people in the world to make bread, 15,000 years in advance of the Egyptians. Wow, I didn't know that. Consequently, he's made his own company called Black Duck Foods. For example, at Woolworths or Coles, you can pick up a kilogram of flour for about $1.40. Sounds reasonable. And this is where the Aboriginal maths comes in. At Black Duck Foods, you can buy kangaroo and speargrass flour for $90 per 250 grams, which works out to be $360 per kilogram. It's an absolute steal. Compared to Coles at $1.40 per kilogram, 360 divided by $1.40 equals 257 times the price. That's how Aboriginal maths works. Just inflate the price by hundreds of times. And that's why Indigenous maths is so much better than colonial maths.